Hi, investors.
Hi, investors. Tom here, your local Manchester guy, and I'm with Martin, our head analyst. And today we wanted to do a quick video just to show you how we are searching and how we are finding these HMO deals that we're posting. As you've seen, we only post 1 or 2 a week, and that's because they're actually quite difficult to find because there's a lot of criteria they have to meet in order to classify as a good deal. So we're just going to take you through all the steps we take in finding them. It's a little bit stricter than a buy to let because the location, it needs to be close to public transport, it needs to be close to supermarkets because normally people walk, they don't have a car when they go into an HMO. We got to find the houses which are big enough so that we can convert them into an HMO. So we got to look at the floor plans. We have an architect who looks at the floor plan, make sure that we can get the rooms in there. We look at the price, the rent. So there's a lot of analysis that goes into finding these deals. And once we put them in the group is when they passed all our analysis, and the only thing left to do is to go and check to make sure that everything works. But once they're there on the group, those deals are actually really good. And as you can see from the yields, the net yields, they're about 7%, comparing that to a buy to let, which normally gives you a net yield of 4.5 or 5. You can see how good these deals are. So I'm going to pass you over to Martin, and he's going to take you through our system and how we're searching.
Hi, investors again. So yeah, I will share my now. I will just do shortly explanation how our system works. I will not go in details, but if somebody is interested about our system, we can schedule a call and we can discuss. So first, this is like our system which Nick created with help of me and Romero. And yeah, so this is a map where we have all the properties in the last 6 days. I opened it here on the map. So all this property, we filtered them out manually, and we only focus on few because there is a lot of filters like flooding, coal mining, capital growth, demographics, crime, location. So all this risk, when we filter out, it just left like from every day we have around 1,000 new properties. So that's we have like when we filter out, we have 200, and from these 200 we check them manually and we assess them and we see if they work or not. So yeah, I will just close the layer of our property. So this is the data of capital growth. This is the freshest data, and this data represent how capital growth is in the last 5 years and inflation adjusted. This is the freshest data up to end of 2023. So yeah, you can see that the numbers represent really strong capital growth in the whole Manchester. So Manchester is a really good place to invest right now. So yeah, I will zoom in just to see the more data, more stuffs about our data. So these circles and the numbers inside represent the demographics. So this shows how good demographics they are. How higher it is, that's better. So for example, this number represented English speaking is 99%, a lot of BC1, C2, not a lot of DE. So this area, that's great. So compared to this area here, it's not that best. Yeah, so and also we have the crime data, and you can see that how much crime it has. For example, if you click, you can see how much crime happened in 1 year. So that's 16 crime in a year. That's like a little bit more than 1 crime a month. And depends what kind of crime. This is also really important. So for example, here is a burglary. So this is the data what we use for like what's the most important for checking the demographics. But this is just few of the stuff what we check. We also, when we analyzing HMO, the most important thing is how close is supermarkets around the property and how is the distance. So for example, near this property, it have 3 really close markets, and also it has a big supermarket here, here, and also we have here. So also we're checking the transport. So so the transport is like 7 minutes walking from the property to the tramway here. It's at the train. Yeah, so that's mean that property is really good for HMO because it's close to a transport by walking. Also, it have a lot of small stores, bars, and so on here on the main streets, which is like 7 or 8 minutes walking. So that's always great for HMO. So also for HMO, what we check, like also we check quickly for parking, how it will have, can you park or not. But usually the it's not really important because all HMO tenants usually doesn't need a car. They don't have car because they will share a room and so on. So they will not have a space for a car. So yeah, so that's the most main things by location what we check. Also for location, we always check the coal mining risk and if there is the risk of coal mining. So in this location is totally safe. And also we check the flooding. We check that there is, for example, this one doesn't have any risk of flooding. Also, we can check this on a map to see what is going on in the whole neighborhood and to see if there is risk, for example, rivers and sea. We can check that from reservoir there is no risk anywhere, and also from surface water there is not risk in the neighborhood. So this is totally safe. Also in property checker, we will check the meter squarage of the house. This 103 meters square, really large house, for example, and when it was built, approximately. Also about the property, when we analyze with our architect, we analyze the floor plan and to try to make some sense. So for example, this floor plan is inaccurate because this wall doesn't exist. So this is kitchen and dining room is connected, and for the floor, this is accurate. Based on the photo, this looks okay. So Tom, maybe I will share the proposed plan. Maybe you can explain more about why we do like this and so on.
Yeah, so after we've gone through all those other checks and everything is good, then we get our architect to look at the floor plans, and we want to figure out whether we can add extra rooms. So on HMO, we want at least 4 bedrooms, ideally 5. So we look at the floor plan, we measure, we take into account the minimum standards, so the certain sizes that we have to meet certain criteria, and we'll work out whether the house can be converted. And for example, in this case, it can, and as you can see, we added en suites to the bedrooms as well. And if this passes and the house is big enough to be converted, then we will have a final check, and we normally check with our HMO letting agent just to see if he can find anything that wouldn't work. And once we passed all those steps, we put it onto the groups. And then once we do the viewing, we'll see exactly what's going on. And then we can take more measurements just to make sure everything will work. And there's a few more checks I think Martin and the other analysts do, but we don't want to make this video too long. But there's a lot of steps we go through checking and making sure everything works. So it's not only the size of the house and whether you can get the bedrooms, it's got to be the right location. It's got to pass the same criteria as a buy-to-let in terms of capital growth. Everything needs to work out, and the price needs to be right. And we work out an estimate of the conversion costs to make sure that you actually get the final yields. So that's why they are difficult to find, and we don't find too many because there's a lot of criteria that needs to be met to find these kind of deals. And I think the good thing is that you can always, after a few years, if you want to sell the property, you can either sell it as an HMO or you can convert it back into a normal house and just sell it back as a house. So this is a really good strategy to get a higher cash flow, higher yield while you own the property. But you can always convert it back to buy-to-let if you wish so. So I think, yeah, do you want to show anything else, Martin? Yeah,
Yeah,
the research we
we
do on
also,
the rents.
yeah, the rent we use Rightmove Plus, and also we use Spare Room, so we to check how much is will be the rent. Based on the photos and so on, we do some estimation how much we need to be converted, what need to be done, and so on. So because we usually look for high-end HMO, not just like a basic HMO, we try to make it really nice. So, for example, the kitchen, this can work for buy-to-let, but for HMO will not work. It need upgrading. So we'll try to make them as good as possible, the property. And also we use Rightmove Plus to see for the comparables and so on for properties, but we also use property data, and we use to check the comparable. For example, our properties, the asking price is 185, but we can see similar properties 240, 185, 175. This is the sale, but it have 280, it have 58, but this was the auction. That was this was 170, 25, 193. So yeah, and also this 185. So based on these comparables, we can see like how much is the real value of the property as well. So we check a lot of things before we decide to add it on the market. We do a lot of manual due diligence, and so also in the team there is Alex and Philip. We're doing a lot of background work with this checking, and also there is our architect Stephanie, who also help us to make this work, floor plans and so on. So we do a lot of like checking before we send these deals to the groups. So if you have some question, I'm here to give you an answer. Also, we can go on call. Depends what you prefer.
Great. So thank you very much for watching. We have now the HMO WhatsApp group where we put all the HMO deals. If you got any questions, just let us know. If you're interested in any of those deals, just let us know. As you've seen now, we've gone through a lot of work to search for those deals. So they are 99% pretty much that they will work. We've got to do a final check by doing a viewing and making sure everything checks out. But there's a lot of work we already done just to put them there in those groups. So let us know if you've got questions, and we are here to help, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.